It's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is supposed to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button right here, right now, if you want videos about dating, relationships, how to live your best asexual life, building great friendships, building your confidence up, and so much more. So click the subscribe button, bell icon now, and let's get into today's video, which is all about Facebook dating in 2023. Should you try it? Have you tried it already this year? What are the pros and cons of Facebook dating in 2023? This is what you need to know. But first of all, if you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of amazing Asexual Perspectives book out on Amazon. So I've already got a message in chat from Margaret with some love hearts. Thank you so much, Margaret. Pleasure to have you here. This is about love life and relationships and sex from an asexual point of view, by the way, available on Amazon. So let's get thrown into today's video. So Facebook dating. Yes, you might remember I've been on a take a break from Facebook dating for a very, very long time. Now, if you don't know what take a break means, I will show you a quick screenshot. This is take a break on Facebook dating, right? So this means you go to this little cog here, you see this little like wheel thing, and if you've had enough of Facebook dating but you don't want to delete your profile, you can go on to that and you can go to the general tab, and there's an option to flick a switch that basically puts you on take a break, or you can delete your profile entirely, right? But the reason I didn't delete my profile entirely was because I didn't want the same people coming back again that I'd previously blocked from before. I don't want to see those people again. I don't want to speak to those people again. And I have been on Facebook dating in the past, and then I deleted my profile, and then I started it up again, and I found a lot of the same guys were coming through, and I couldn't even remember why I blocked them, what the problem was, and it just became a frigging nightmare for me. So I thought, right, I'm going to take a break indefinitely for an indefinite period of time. I didn't know how long it was going to be. I don't even know how long I've been off the app now. I think it's over 6 months. It could even be the previous year from last. I can't even remember. But there's, the good thing about take a break is literally you don't get the same people back again unless they've created another profile themselves. So if we're talking about pros and cons of Facebook dating from an asexual point of view, it isn't an asexual app. They don't have a specific category that I'm aware of for asexuals. And so predominantly it's a traditional dating app, which means there are a lot of heterosexuals on Facebook dating. However, we live in modern times, right? And more people are starting to get used to the fact now there are different genders, not just male and female, which has been around a long time, but and some people are like, oh, it's just male and female is one gender, either male or female, two genders. I'm like, no, there's been intersex people for years. And if you didn't know what intersex people are, they're born with both male and female genitalia. Right. So they've been around for years, just they hide themselves like a lot of asexuals do because of the stigma around their sexual orientation. Right. So there's always been not just male and not just female, because there's some people that have had both private parts. They were born like it. Right. So we have to get out this mindset that there's just male and female nowadays. People should be able to identify how they are. And I think it's imperative that we're able to identify our sexuality and our sexual preferences for how we see them that they are, not how other people see them. Because at the end of the day, if we're looking to date or get into a relationship, it should be someone who matches our needs, our wants, our likes, our desires, or complements them, rather than what society wants that to be. There's no good going to a dating app with the mindset of someone else, because it's not going to work. So when you're asexual, obviously, dating can be an absolute minefield. I would recommend joining Facebook dating groups for asexuals and actually posting in those asexual dating groups what you're looking for. Not just hang out in them, but post in them what you're looking for, and just post about your hobbies and interests, and stay active in the group. Be active, be proactive in them. Because obviously, if you want an asexual person for a relationship, that's where you're most likely to find them, right? Doesn't mean to say you can't find someone on Facebook dating, but it is a lot more harder, right? Because obviously a lot of people on Facebook dating are looking for hookups, right? And what Facebook dating does now, which I do like, is it says whether this person matches your preferences or not. So I noticed that I've added my Instagram because I didn't have Instagram when I last used Facebook dating. So that obviously it's been a very long time, and I am back using Facebook dating again. Just to make that clear, I started using it after Sunday's night speed dating. So I went to speed dating on meetup.com via Cupid's Lounge. It's a group on there, and they had it on Zoom. I did speed dating. I got two matches. One I was really, really actually attracted to, but he lives in Spain and he did need sex as part of a relationship. And being asexual, sex repulsed, that was no good for me. But he was a really nice person. Thought he was a great guy. So that was really good. Older than I would usually go for at 30 years old, but he looked younger. Nice, beautiful coloured skin. I love coloured skin. I think it's amazing. And so it's a really nice person to talk to. He's quite active in the community settings there as well, you know, like when we were talking in community rather than just the matches. And so anyway, the other guy, who was an older guy, not suitable for me, he found me on Facebook, not because he was interested in me, but because he was interested in joining Facebook dating. And it's like, you mentioned that in the community, how do I go about it? So in case you didn't know, Facebook dating is only available by phone. You can't get it on your desktop or your laptop or your tablet, as far as I'm aware, and it's not available in every country. And the way you get to it is a heart symbol. So you have to have Facebook downloaded to your phone and the app, and then you have to actually go in Facebook and click on the heart. So in the menu at the top, you'll have like a little house, which is your home. You'll have like a symbol for groups if you're in groups. You'll have like a you know, other symbols, and one of them is a heart. If you've got Facebook dating, you have to click on that heart and then create your profile. And it usually takes photographs from your Facebook to actually put in the app itself. And it takes some things like your age and stuff. So if you've lied about your age, then that'll show up on Facebook dating and you can't change it. So you should never lie about your age. I reveal my birth certificate age in Facebook dating, in case you're wondering, because I don't like talking about my birth certificate age. It's nothing like who I am. I'm really not interested in it. But I am completely honest, and I do put my actual birth certificate age on Facebook, and it does show on Facebook dating. And I still get younger guys interested in me because I'm interested in younger guys in the early to mid 20s predominantly. And I really don't give a shit what people think about that, because I can't make myself be interested in someone I'm not. That doesn't mean to say I'm not open to other people. If I really attracted to a guy, then yes, I'd be interested in him. But at the end of the day, I'm mostly interested in younger guys the majority of the time, right? It's just the way it is for me. Okay, so there's quite a lot of younger guys on there into older girls, which is what I really like about Facebook dating from my personal point of view. But you have an opportunity to put stuff in your bio. So I do make it clear that I don't like sex, that I am asexual and sexual orientation. That's a benefit. You can write what you like in your bio. But the downside is people take no notice of it a lot of the time. So even though you write asexual in there, and no sex whatsoever, because if you put no sex, I've had people before saying, will you give me a blowjob? Well, that is basically oral sex. And when I say no sex, I mean no sex, but I now spell out no sex. I'm not interested in any sex, right? So you have to kind of really spell it out to them, but some people do not read your profile on there. However, I have had some guys, Margaret, yeah, it's quite funny they don't read it, but it's not funny from the point of view of that, you know, that you're you know, like people come through and they're, you know, like they don't even listen to what you're saying and take you seriously. Alan, journalist and psychologist. You're a journalist and psychologist, are you? Or am I? But yes, anyway. So basically, yeah. So on the profile, I specifically write what I like in my bio. You've only got X amount of words to explain in your bio what type of relationship you're looking for, but you can pick what you're interested in terms of hobbies and interests. And what the good thing is I've added my Instagram now. You can go through Instagram and you can actually find matches on Instagram that you haven't necessarily found directly in Facebook dating itself. Journalist and psychologist, good content. All right, thank you. So you know, you can find people on Instagram, but the good thing about Facebook dating, it tells you this person doesn't match all your preferences. So it will also tell you these days what things you have in common with a person. So like, for example, visual arts or like creative pursuits, or these type of categories. It will come up like if someone likes dance and you like dance and things like that. So I really like the fact that Facebook dating has advanced itself in terms of it's getting more down to preferences of people, and how many preferences you have in common with that person, and if the person doesn't match all your preferences. I think this is a really useful piece of information. And it's also good if you want to ice break with someone, because it can be very difficult to know what to say to someone and what questions to ask. But if you've got things in common and Facebook is literally highlighting the things you've got in common with that person, then you can literally say, oh, I see we both like dance music, or I see we both like creative pursuits, or I see we both like art, or I see we both like whatever it is that you both like. So this is a really good way of coming up with ideas via Facebook itself for icebreakers if you're stuck for what to say. And I know a lot of asexuals are quite shy in the department of approaching people, so that if you are stuck for ideas of what to say, you can literally take those categories that you have in common, if you have categories in common, and then obviously use that as a starting point for getting into conversation with someone. I don't have a problem getting into conversation with someone, but other people do, right? And so you might be like, Sandra, how do you get into conversation? I literally will go on someone's profile and click if I like them, I heart them. There's two things you can do now in terms of like liking someone. You can like someone as a friend, or like someone as in a match, right? If you just like someone normally with a heart, that means you're interested in a relationship with them and to date them. If you like them with a friendship mode, it means you want to connect with them as a friend. But be warned, this is a traditional dating app. It's not an asexual dating app. So people that are saying they're looking for friendship are actually the majority of time looking for dating or a relationship. They're just saying friendship as a easy way to get into talking to you. It's good though, from an asexual point of view, because you can actually put friends. You can click saying you want to be friends with this person, and I think they're more likely to take notice of your profile if you click the friends button, because they might be like, oh, that person just likes me as a friend, so let's have a look at what their profile is. However, some people, like I said, don't take any notice of things like that, and they'll just see that you like them, and they might even not realize that friendship is any different on there, and they might just think that you're interested in relationship or dating. But the bottom line is, even in friendship, usually it's just to start off as friendship, but not really. It's a friends with kind of like future benefit scenario, if you know what I mean. As in, they're attracted to you, they want to date you, or have a relationship with you a lot of the time, right? So you've got to be very aware of this. It has got like lots of different age ranges. You can change the filters if you want to see people from different countries, or you can narrow it down with the filters. So the filters are quite a good thing. You can add lots of different photographs. You can add things about like your hobbies and interests, or you can just like say so you can create like a text post where you can say things about yourself. So I create stuff like that saying I do not like sex and things like that. Like one thing a person should know about you before they talk to you. That's like something that Facebook will do, that you can click through that and say, this is the one thing people should know about me before they talk to me. It's like, I don't like sex. Or this is my favorite music. And then you say what your favorite music is. So it literally is bits of information that people can talk to you about. So if you're an asexual that's a bit shy, find it hard to get into conversation, just literally go through a person's profile and see what they've got in their profile, see what hobbies, interests they've got, see what things they like, what topics they like talking about. So for example, there was an actual British guy that hearted me yesterday, and I'm like, oh, I think it was yesterday or the early hours of this morning. And that means that but he hearted me in a friendship way, right? Not in the heart way. So it was like a friendship thing. But when I actually got talking to him, he made it clear he was interested in dating me pretty much straight away, like the second message. And so I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I would have to video date you first before I actually met up with you, you know? Like, I would have a video date first. I'm happy to do that to get to know you more before I even say yes or no to where I would have an in-person date. And that's a good thing about Facebook dating, is you can actually use the video button to video date someone within that app. You don't need to actually go on Facebook Messenger to do it. So they don't need to be connected to you on your personal profile and know what that personal profile is unless you want them to be. So with Facebook dating, you have the option to share your Facebook profile with them and or share your Instagram profile with them as well. Rob, several months ago, I tried using the app for friendship, but found it was still very much about dating, which didn't work for me. Yes, Rob, I do agree with you. It's still very much like if you click friendship, it's still very much dating, really. And like I said, the British guy, is quite interesting. I actually like talking to him. So I'm kind of thinking about giving British guys a chance more, some if I'm actually attracted to them. Since I did the dancing yesterday, the salsa dancing, and I actually danced with the British guy, and he wasn't bad looking actually, and I didn't mind holding his hand. I was more uncomfortable than if I'd actually had a foreign guy, like Indian guy, in front of me, because I just like I'm very comfortable with Indian guys physically. Apart from if they got a beard, I'm less comfortable with them. And I do have one Indian friend who's got a beard, but I don't mind being closer to him. You might have seen a shorts video with me and him dancing on February the 14th together for a short period of time. But in general, when they got beards, I can hold their hand, but getting physically close any more than that is very difficult for me. I'm very beard repulsed. But anyway, with the salsa class, I was really worried about it because I don't like dancing with the older guys because I'm not attracted to them. And for me personally, I know it's very weird, but I can't really dance with someone and be comfortable unless I think they are attractive looking in their face. And that might seem really, really bizarre and weird to you, but it's just the way it is. And I was trying to explain to the guy who's organizing it, I don't feel comfortable around older guys. I don't want, he goes, oh, I don't care what age they are, anyone can dance with me. And I'm thinking, yeah, but that's him. It's not me. I don't feel comfortable dancing with older guys the same because to me, it's like a father figure. I'm not interested in my birth certificate. I'm nothing like it. I don't relate to it. I have nothing to do with it. And I was trying to explain to him that I just don't feel comfortable. To me, it's like dancing with a father figure and dancing with not literally dancing with my dad, but like that, And actually, when I was at school, I did boring classes, and I actually had my dad as my partner for a bit. So it's not like I was like not used to that from years ago, although I found it weird. But I'm just like not into that. And I wanted to just be with one person. Luckily, there was this guy in the actual meetup.com group I went with who is almost completely clean shaven, and he looked thin and he looked a really nice person. And he was like not great dancer, admittedly by him, and he just like really like danced with me because we were laughing the whole time. I did actually burst out in laughing in front of everyone in the room, and the instructor was like, okay, but it was really good fun because I had good fun because me and him were laughing because we weren't doing it perfectly. Even I wasn't doing it great at some points because I was putting my foot back instead of forward and stuff like this. So I'm more open to trying to see if it's possible that I could get on and be attracted to a British guy, because clearly with Indian guys, it's really not working at the moment. Part of my soul, I think, will always be Indian. But there's a lot of Indian guys on Facebook. And again, one thing I would warn you about is there's a lot of students on there. So if you are into younger guys like me, maybe a lot of you aren't, but I am. If you're into younger guys, or maybe you're like in your 20s yourself and you're looking for someone on there, if you are picking someone, be careful and look at their bio to see if they're just in the UK for study. Because if they are, they're going to go back, a lot of them, to their country, and you're just going to end up splitting up with them. So just bear in mind that some of them, even if they say looking for a serious relationship, they haven't thought it through. And to them, a serious relationship is just a relationship while they're here in the UK, and then they go back to their country and they're going to leave you. I'm not saying it will always happen, but and some people want visas for marriage, marriage for visas, should I say, over here. So be very careful about all that. But I mean, there was one guy yesterday, he hearted me. I messaged him back, and he wanted my personal details, like contact details, which it says about not giving your contact details if people ask straight away. But what I did, I shared my Facebook profile because I know, because I'm genuinely asexual, a lot of people don't believe me on there, not because it's me personally, but just because they don't believe something like that, right? And so I purposely shared with him my Facebook profile. As soon as he went into my Facebook profile, he friend requested me, and then he blocked me on Facebook and straight away stopped on Facebook dating, blocked me on Facebook dating, because I told him I'm asexual. And it says it in my profile anyway. And I said, okay, I'll share my Facebook. And obviously it scared him off because I'm a genuine asexual person who has been, I've been a speaker at the UK Asexual conference. I've got this book out, I have a coaching client sometimes. That's not my main thing. I like book publishing more, but I'm an asexual coach and advisor, and lots of other things to do with asexuality. And so that is my main thing, And so basically, I'm serious. This is my whole life and world pretty much on this channel a lot of the time. And so any guy that sees that, if he's not the right guy and he's just a con artist, a lot of the time they won't want to share their Facebook profile with me. And so because they're just liars or con artists. And so then they'll quickly go from my life, and I'm thinking, thank God you did, because people who are genuine, they will support me in my career. They will support me in the work I do for asexuals. I can't be with someone who doesn't support me in the work for asexuals. You guys, girls, any gender, you people are my favorite people. You are what I'm here for in life, to serve you and to help you. And if that means being single for the rest of my life, then so be it. But I'm not going to get a person that doesn't accept me for who I am and doesn't accept my asexuality. And some people can't deal with the fact that I'm a YouTuber. So a lot of the time I put that in my profile, that I'm a famous YouTuber. Okay, I'm not as famous as some people are, but I put that on purpose, because if they can't frigging handle that, I'm not interested in them. I don't want to play small. I'm a public person. I like being public. Some people don't. I do. And it's essential that I become more and more public to help more and more asexuals, because let's face it, asexuals need to have a big voice in the world. And, if we don't have a big voice in the world, then we go unnoticed and unspoken, and it's not good for our health, right? So we need to be bold and be brave and assertive and confident in who we are. And you should always tell someone you're asexual up front anyway, whether they believe you or not. Because at the end of the day, you do not want to get someone into a relationship with you under false pretenses. Just like the person shouldn't lie about the fact they're asexual, which usually they're not unless it says in their profile, or they've got indications in their profile that they are, or they come and start talking about asexuality and they know what they're talking about, right? Don't be fooled by some people who go, I'm asexual too. Right. So that is a con. Some people might not be, right? I've had some people in the past on Facebook dating who said they're asexual too, or they don't like sex too, and they're liars. Doesn't mean to say everyone's a liar on there, but just be aware of that. They can get liars and con artists. In the past, when I went on Facebook dating and had dates, there was a guy who made up a different story to his actual real life, and I found out later when he confessed to me. So there's some people who lie, some people who are not honest on there. And if they're not prepared to share their Facebook profile at some point with you, then that they're not really wanting something serious. They're just wanting to live on the app, because you should be sharing your Facebook at some point, or your Instagram, before you have a proper date with them, to know that they're a real person. I mean, because they got Facebook dating, they're actually on Facebook, but you need to really know their background and something about them before meeting up. You shouldn't just be going by what's on their Facebook dating. If you go to their actual Facebook page, you can know more details about them, see pictures of them, see if they're lying or not. Because if someone said, I ain't interested in sex either, yet they share their Facebook profile and the posts are about blowjobs, about how much sex someone's having, about, oh, you got to do this with a woman, or that with someone else, you know what I mean? It's just lies. So before you meet up with them, if you're going to meet up with them, get them to share their Facebook profile, their Instagram profile. So first of all, you want to be messaging them, get to know them. Then you want to be video dating them. And then you want to be like sharing Facebook or Instagram stuff, or even before you video date them, you could do that. Depends on which way around you want to do it. You should very much video date someone before you see them in real life, offline, right? So always do that first for your own safety. And you can read body language, and you can see how much time and attention they pay you. Like, are they really looking at you? Are they actively listening? Or is their mind like wandering around like this, and their face, and are they busy like thinking of something else, and they're not really invested in talking to you? So rules for video dating is different to videoing a friend, right? Rules for video dating is always know when and where you can switch the button off, right? So if someone is a liar and they're really a sexual person, or they've covered up the fact they're really sexual, and then they decide to try and show you obscene stuff or stuff of them in bed, and you know where it's going to go, you know how to quickly switch that damn camera off, right? So know how to switch that damn camera off. Where is the camera off button, right? In case of anything like that. Know how to get out the situation. You can literally say to someone, right, you're not what I'm looking for, so we're not suitable, goodbye. I have done that in the past. It's not the most easiest thing to do when someone's actually in front of you, in your face, but it's better to be honest and upfront than it is to continue the conversation if that person's really not suitable. So for example, if I find out someone smokes and I can't be with a smoker, there's no point in me carrying on that conversation with them, because I can't be in a relationship with a smoker. So I have to say, there's no point, right? And stuff like that. Look for interruptions, look for whether they're actually enthusiastic to see you and speak to you, because if they're really interested in you, they should be enthusiastic, they should be actively listening, they should be asking you questions about yourself, you should be asking them questions about their self. You should both be offering information about your own self to each other. This is how healthy relationships work, right? You both ask each other questions, take an interest in each other, and you both share information from your lives with each other as well. So this is how it goes. If someone's just doing all the questions and someone's doing all the answers, this is an unbalanced situation. If someone's not sharing anything of their life and trying to get you to share all theirs, this is bad. This is a red flag for the fact they want to know you so they can turn what they know about you against you if they're not giving anything of themselves away, if they don't want to be vulnerable, if they don't want to share anything with you, if they don't want to give you anything about themselves. It's a red flag, right? Because someone who's genuinely interested in you and interested in dating your relationship, they will want to know about you, so want to ask you questions about yourself, but they also want to tell you about themselves, because at the end of the day, if they don't tell you about themselves, how can you be sure of anything with them? Why would you even want to date them? Because at the end of the day, they've given you nothing to go on. You're just like dating fresh air, basically. Um, Obviously, video dates are a lot easier for some people because they can talk about themselves more than they can in a message. And for some people, they can talk more about themselves in a message than they can on camera, right? But a person should be making effort to actually date you if they're serious. You don't want, if you're not just looking for friendship, you don't want time to go on and on and on where they're not video dating you and just wasting your time. Because some people on Facebook dating, they use it to pass the time, they use it because they're bored, maybe they're off sick from work, and they got nothing frigging better to do with their life. So this is a great big con, right? There was a lot of people during COVID times that literally they liked using Facebook dating or dating apps in general because it gave them some kind of release from the silence and the loneliness. But that's what they were doing. They were using it because they were lonely, not because they really wanted a serious committed relationship. So you have to understand the psychology of why someone is on this dating app in the first place. Is it to find a genuine relationship? Is it a casual hookup they want? Is it because they're bored rigid? Is it because they're off sick from their work? Is it because they've got nothing better to do with their life? You've got to find out the reason, and you should be asking questions like about their deal breakers. They are into sex, marriage, kids. I actually put this on my profile, like I'm not interested in sex, not interested in marriage, I'm not interested in kids, prefer to live separately, right? But some people don't even take notice of all that or some of it, or they take notice of none of it. So you've got to make sure that when you're talking, you confirm that you're asexual. So to this British guy yesterday, well, early hours of this morning, actually, he was talking to me. He was asking me questions. He was asking me some intimate questions. But again, this is like intimate questions is difficult because if you're asexual and say you don't like sex, then obviously if they are thinking about a serious relationship possibly with you, they don't want to be wasting their time. So they might ask you additional questions as to what you like physically and don't like. And you've got to assess whether that person's genuine and asking you questions based on what you like physically and don't like, as in an educational, informative, I need to know this way to make sure I'm not wasting my time and we are going to be compatible. So this could be a guy that says, I don't need sex, but I need other things, or I like this, that, and the other. Can you do this? Are you comfortable with this? What do you like? What are you comfortable with? So, you can have someone like that who's inquiring because they genuine interest in you, but you can also have guys on there or whatever gender you're attracted to asking you stuff about questions about intimacy because they want to get off on it. They basically want to masturbate themselves over it. To be quite blunt with you, I'm being very blunt because I'm telling you the pros and the cons from an asexual point of view. So they're using it to get off, right? So you've got to be very aware that it's there's obviously different types of people, but if you take the two extremes, one is they really want to know because they genuinely think see what they see. They are concerned about how your asexuality would affect them in the relationship if they get into a relationship with you, how it would work, what you actually like, don't like, because they don't want to make you uncomfortable. So they're coming from more of a good place. And then you get the guys on the other extreme that are literally just wanting to hear what you have to say so they can jack off to it, right? You don't want the guys that want to just jack off. So sometimes it's really difficult to fathom out what they're doing. But if you listen to the language and the way they speak in the text, and if they keep pushing you to say more and more about what you like sexually and don't in a very like arousal way, then probably they are more sexual than they're letting on. So you've got to weigh up the balance between what they're asking and how much they're asking and their responses, right? Be very careful. And if you're not clear on something's confusing you, that is a bit of a red flag, because you should have pretty much clarity on why someone's asking you something. But obviously people do have busy lives. You can be in the middle of doing different things. So, messages are always hard anyway. But if you are a bit confused about something, you can use a video date to actually iron out these things, right? So video dating, you want to be asking the deal breaker questions, but you also want to be asking about person's hobbies, a person's interests. You want to be getting to know things like, if you want to know if they're empathetic, just say to them, like, when was the last time you said sorry to someone? Which will throw quite a lot of people off, because they'll be like, oh my God, because it's not something you usually think about. And if they don't ever say sorry to anyone, then that's a huge red flag, that it's it's a narcissistic trait if they don't ever say sorry to someone. Because if they believe that they're above everyone and they can never ever have to say sorry to someone because they're just so much better than anyone and they never make mistakes, then that's a really bad narcissistic trait to have. I'm not saying they're a full narcissist, but I'm saying it's a narcissistic trait, right? You don't want someone who's unempathetic, right? If someone starts taunting you about your asexuality, you don't want to be with someone like that, right? You don't want to be someone who dismisses your asexuality, who doesn't take it seriously, who doesn't listen to what you say, who thinks they're entitled to things from you, like sharing a bed with you, like coming over and staying with you, and thinking that they can get naked with you and all these things are fine. In a normal heterosexual relationship, yes, this would be what would happen. But as you're asexual, you're very different to most of the entire population. And some asexuals are not comfortable with sharing a bed. Some asexuals are not comfortable with getting naked. Some are, some aren't, right? And no one should feel they're just entitled to come and stay with you and stay in your home, right? If a guy really likes you, or whatever gender, they can stay in a hotel in your city. If you're thinking about long-term relationship with you and it's long distance, you then have to work something out. If you don't want to stay in the same room, have you got a sofa for them to sleep on? Or do they need to sleep on a sleeping bag on the floor, right? In a different room or something, So think about these different things, right? But at the end of the day, you don't owe anyone anything. No one has to sleep with you. No one has to stay in your bed. Someone can travel to you to just see you for the day and then go back to their own bed or whatever they want to do, sleep in their car. You know what I mean? You don't owe anyone anything. So I've had guys in the past on Facebook dating, they've literally thought they can just come down and literally stay in my home when they've just met me as well. It's disgusting and it's not acceptable. So do not fall for that. But use Facebook dating for what you feel comfortable with. Just know that there's people on there that are just looking for a hookup, that are just looking for casual stuff. And if you see anything that a person goes, oh, I don't really know what I'm looking for, just don't even bother with them. If they are on a dating or relationship app and they don't even know what they're looking for, this is not going to be a healthy person to get into a relationship with. They're not going to work at the relationship because they don't know what the hell they want. If they don't know what the hell they want, how do they know they ever want you? How do they know they even want a relationship if they don't know what the friggin' hell they want? You want someone who actually wants a relationship as much as you, is invested in growth in a relationship, is invested in actually wanting to be with someone and what that entails. Ask them, like, what's your, like, when did you last have a relationship? Like, how long did your last relationship last? Why did you two split up? Or if it's, there are a few people on Facebook dating as well that are polyamorous. They're not all monogamous. So don't just think that everyone's monogamous on there. I would advise to ask the question, like, are you monogamous? Are you just after one person, or are you polyamorous after multiple people? Because there's some people on there that actually are openly polyamorous. So some of them are couples on there wanting a third party. So, and there are people on there that are like bisexual and stuff like that. I don't usually see other asexuals, but there are people from LGBT community on there. They're not loads of them, but I do see them. There are quite a few trans people on there as well, from what I can make out. So, but sometimes you don't know if they're trans or not because they don't reveal their gender to you on Facebook. So if you're someone who doesn't mind whatever gender, you end up with, that's fine. But if you're someone who specifically wants a certain type of gender, because that's just your personal preference, then that might be hard to get sometimes if you're not sure. So, ask the question up front. Ask, like, how do you identify gender wise to the person? Ask them, like if, for example, like when I say I'm asexual, I'll actually ask the person, so I am asexual, do you know that? Like, have you read that? And if they say yeah, if they know what it means and they start saying, yeah, well, I'm okay without sex, then you have to like know what the reason is for that they're okay without sex. Like, are they really okay with it or not? Like, how is their sexual activity been in the past, basically? If they just like had loads of sex and love it all the time, then they're going to be lying, aren't they? But if they've had sex in the past and they're just really not bothered about it, then they might be telling the truth. But you're never going to know if someone's telling the truth about not liking sex if they're not asexual, unless you actually spend time messaging them, getting to know them, dating them, and stuff like that. You're only going to know over a process of time whether they're telling the truth on that or they're not, because you're going to be looking in their messages to see, is there congruency? Are they always like of the mindset that, oh, I'm not really that bothered about sex, or are they actually saying they're not interested in sex, but then most of the conversations you have together are about sex, intimacy, physical activity together? If the person's not talking to you about your personality, they're not asking you about your hobbies and interests, they're just focused on sexual stuff and physical stuff, they're really probably lying that they're not into sex, because at the end of the day, if someone's not into sex or not that bothered about it, why would they just focus on it? And it can be very difficult because, like, I have had guys ask me, and our guy asked me recently, like, about some physical stuff, but he wants to know because he wants to know, like, what would it be like if he was in a relationship with me? So I think from an asexual point of view, you have to be willing to educate someone enough about what you like and what you dislike without it feeling too uncomfortable. It is going to be a bit uncomfortable though. If a heterosexual guy is thinking about being in a relationship with an asexual, and they are willing to go without sex because they're not that bothered about it. When I say willing, you don't want to be with someone who feels like they're forcing themselves not to have sex and they're going to resent you for it. Just don't bother with those people. But if you've got someone who's genuinely saying, look, I'm really not bothered about sex, it's fine that you're asexual, fine to be without sex, and they're asking you other questions about what you like and you dislike, it is somewhat uncomfortable, but you're going to be able to you're going to have some uncomfortable conversations about physical intimacy and something in order to be able to progress with someone, because you have to be able to talk about this stuff even though it's really difficult for you, without it being so uncomfortable that you just want cringe every time that you message them. You don't want to get to that stage, because if it's just so uncomfortable, you just won't want to talk to them anymore. So I think it's good to express your uncomfortability, but equally they can express the fact that they might feel difficult in asking you questions about intimacy, but they feel it's essential because they need to know in case they do want a serious committed relationship with you in future, because it's important to be honest with each other from both sides. They have needs, whatever those needs are. You have needs from whatever your needs are, and you do need to be having serious conversations. If you do have serious conversation up front, it is a good thing, because it means that down the line, if you have to have difficult, serious conversations, that person's going to be able to handle it a lot more with you. So you're going to be able to have much more of a healthy relationship potentially with that person, than someone who just avoids the situation altogether. You don't want to be with someone on Facebook dating and they're just avoiding the whole topic about intimacy and sex, because a lot of the guys that do that, they're not really that invested in you, and they'll go off probably and have an affair with someone else because they'll be just like, oh, I don't want to make you uncomfortable, so I won't ever talk about sex. And they're heterosexual and they're used to having sex or had sex in the past, right? This means that they're likely going to watch porn or go and have sex without you, because they're still going to need to get that fix from somewhere. And if they can't be bothered to talk to you about it, don't want to discuss it with you, and they have still got needs because they're bound to have needs of their own, then it's a red flag for this is not going to be a healthy relationship, and it's not going to be a monogamous one, most likely either. So in the past, I had a guy on Facebook dating who did avoid the topic with me, and then he eventually came clean because I then started talking to him about it and said, like, if I got with you, I'd cheat on you because I need sex and I can't live without it. It was horrible to hear him say that, but he told me the truth, and I had to hear it. I'm still connected to him on Facebook, actually. We just don't speak, but he is attracted to me. I am attracted to him, but he said it's because I care about you that I'm telling you the honest truth. And so, I do know that he has got a degree of care about me because he is telling me the truth, which is an awful thing to hear someone say that, right? But I'm glad that he told me that to stop me from being with him, because he has enough respect for me to know he wouldn't be the right guy for me. So when you are doing dating relationships, like, you can try different people. Like, if there's someone that's not usually your type, you could try and have a conversation with that person and see what it's like. So, for example, like I said, there's a British guy I started talking to yesterday, well, the early hours of this morning, and he's been talking to me quite a bit. And I'm not used to talking to British guys, but I do like his face. He has got quite a nice baby face, and I like the way he presents himself in his photographs. And so far, the talk has been interesting. And so, yeah, and he writes long messages, which I like as well. So when you are messaging someone, you need to pay attention to how much you're messaging them and they're messaging them. It should be somewhat equal. Like, it should be equal length of messages, equal in terms of time frame, like, take it in turns to message. And things like that, right? And so you want to be looking for these things like, is it equal, or are they just giving one word things like hi? So if someone says just the word hi to you, just write back hi to them, because they need to put in more damn effort than that, right? And sometimes it might be difficult for you to talk to someone, so you might just say a hi. But hi is a really low value thing to say. But if all guys are making the effort, and the only effort they're making is to just say hi that they could be saying to any woman in the street, then just give them that back. Because if they can't be bothered to actually think of something creative to say as an icebreaker, as an opening, and they're the ones who've liked you first, then you know what I mean? It's like, you don't have to say any more back to them. If you really like them and you want to go ahead, that's fine. My personal feeling that if you do start saying more, you can open it up, which is good. But also the fact that they haven't said much to you in the beginning is not a good sign, right? So what I do is, like, if I get just a hi or a hey now, I'll just say hi or hey back a lot of the time. I might ask them a question for them to know that I'm interested in them and want to carry on the conversation, but I'll just try and keep that short. But I have decided that I am going to be open to more different guys, not just Indian guys anymore, because I think if you do the same thing, you keep getting the same results, you have to do something different. So this means that maybe the type of person you think you're meant to be with is not actually the type of person you should be with or end up with. So it's good to try some different things as much as you possibly can. So for a long, long time, I haven't really been attracted much to British guys, but the fact that I was comfortable to a certain extent, with the British guy and the salsa class, he was quite nice looking. And the fact that this other British guy started talking to him on Facebook dating, I think that's like, a sign that I should, like, just give some British guys more of a try and see how that goes. 'Cause my 2 long-term relationships were with British guys. I do always know that part of my soul's Indian. I will still want to go to Bollywood events. I do like Bollywood music, and I just can't help but be Indian in my soul in some ways, you know what I mean? And I think it's always going to be that way. But when I went to the Indian, like, Bollywood party, like, recently, it's just like the guys there, they're just into partying. None of them is looking for an actual relationship or stuff like that. I mean, it's a uni students, right? So you wouldn't necessarily think they are looking for a relationship, but then some guys could be. But like, I think they just like partying and, like, it seems like snogging different women, holding hands with different women, being close to different women. They don't seem to have any standards or boundaries. It's like, yeah, like, dating coaches, a lot of traditional dating coaches are like, never ever throw yourself at a guy. And literally, there's these 2 women just throwing themselves at the Indian guys all night, and they didn't seem to care one jot. And so I'm thinking, clearly, this isn't actually true, is it? But those women, they're not usually marriage material that those Indian guys would ever actually be with for a serious committed relationship. They just think they're a bit of fun because they know those type of women usually would not be faithful to them. So they'll play around with them while they're in their play stage, if you know what I mean. But when they go back to India, then they'll be in their more serious stage, that they know that they wouldn't go for those type of women, because those women will just, like, basically do that to any guys. But it's kind of sad, it's kind of sad that when you're a person who is kind and caring and genuinely likes a guy, but they're not treating you well, yet these women really don't give a shit about them, but yet they just let them kiss, cuddle, and do whatever. It's like they don't really care about you. They don't care what happens in your day. They don't care if you go home and get upset about having a bad day at work, or you're feeling tired or miserable, and they want to be there to help you. You know what I mean? It's complete contrast. Like for me, if I like a guy, I'm genuinely caring towards him. I genuinely want to know what's going on in his day. This is when I have more and more feelings for him, and we're kind of like connected and stuff. And even in the beginning, I still want to know about him and what he does, like and dislike and stuff like that. But like you can get people that have got really kind hearts, caring, really, want to know what's happening with the person, loving. And then you can get women who just don't give a shit. But some of the guys will go after the women that don't give a shit, because maybe these guys are avoidant or have connection issues, or they just don't want anything serious, right? But I'm just thinking, like, in years to come, aren't you going to regret the fact that you're not with an actual girl, or kept a girl that was really kind, caring person? Instead, that you just played the field around, and then you ended up with women who can give a shit about you. Personally, I'd rather find a guy who's really nice to me and gives a shit about me and cares about me. That's why I've decided that, okay, it may be a British guy would be a better sometimes. Like a British guy, the thing that I do like about British guys in comparison to foreign guys is British guys don't need arranged marriages. They don't have to have their mummy. Some are mummy's boys, so don't get me wrong. I've been with a mummy's boy in the past that's British. Can't stand it. Never again. But and mummy says this, mummy says that, I do what mummy tells me to do. I hate that type of thing, right? But there's a lot more chances that British guys are, they don't have their mummy and daddy telling them what to do. They can pick whatever partner they want in their life. They're not afraid usually a lot of the time to kiss, cuddle, hold hands in public, snog in public. They don't have all those inhibitions. They don't have to like stick to like everything their family tells them to do. Their family is much more like do what you like type thing. And so I do like British guys from that point of view. Like I don't have to have marriage with a British guy either. I can be in a relationship without getting married to a British guy. You can live separately as well. So like usually with, for example, Indian guys, it's arranged marriage. A lot of the time it's live with their parents and their family. I'm like, oh my God, not always, but quite a lot of them want to live with their parents. I'm like, why would you want to live with your parents? Where's your independence? Where's your freedom? You can love your parents without living with them, but it's their culture, And so, it's just very strict. I get shocked at the way that they are party animals over here. Like, any girl is fine, and then go over there, it's really strict, like kind of like arranged marriage stuff. It's like two completely extremes. But British guys, they're usually not afraid to just like kiss wherever, and and you don't have all that worry with them. You don't have to like marry them and things like that. It's just much better in that way. There's a lot more freedom in that way, and I do like freedom within a relationship and stuff. So, there are benefits to British guys. Some of them are really cute as well. If you find the right one. But, I just think, yeah, I'm more open to being with a British guy, although my heart is still with Indian guys. But just, I don't think, like me carrying on pursuing Indian guys all the time, or not even pursuing them so much, but being interested in them, romantically. I just don't think it's like obviously not really working, because I haven't found my soulmate. Like if the Indian soulmate from a past life can't find me by now, then well, it's too late, isn't it? Really, nearly. So he either needs to find me and come and tell me who he is, or it's like, okay, I knew you in past life, but I'm clearly not going to be with you in this life. Maybe I'll be with a British guy in this life, and they'll just leave the Indian guys in the past. But I'll still be part of Indian culture in the sense of like Bollywood movies, Bollywood songs, Bollywood events, because I just feel like I'm meant to be there, and I'm meant to be around Indians and stuff. So it's just a bit sad I can't find my soulmate, but I'm really not interested in marriage and sex and kids and living together or with their parents. I just like really not. So, if that's what all of them are like, which I don't believe everyone's like that, but if that's what they're like, then yeah, I just can't be doing with that anymore. And, like, I think I need a sensitive, kind, caring guy. I mean, one of the guys I watch on YouTube, he's like, don't worry about finding a specific type of person. Just find a good person and be in a relationship with a good, healthy person, And I think that's really good advice to a certain extent, It's like being in a healthy relationship, someone who values you and cherishes you and wants to spend time with you, who makes the effort to travel to you, who appreciates someone who's caring and asking about their day and caring about them and thinking about them and worrying about them and being there for them, you know? I'm sure some Indian guys I know I've met Indian guys years later that regret what they did years ago when they still love a person from years ago, but they couldn't step up to the plate and be the type of guy that woman needed. So she went over and married someone else, you know? But, you know, there's guys that just don't care. So, you know, I just think that Facebook dating is good to try, but try not to get addicted to it as well. So before I was getting quite addicted to it. So what I'm trying to do now is put my work first, everything I need to do in a day first, get all that done, and then get back to the person later when I've finished what I need to do. So I've been in a training course before I came on here, which is part of my speakerpreneurship masterclass program that I bought. So you get additional trainings with it, free trainings, including the program ongoingly. So it was very interesting. It was Instagram Reels, actually, they were talking about. But yeah, so, you know, Facebook dating, I think it's worth trying. But if you keep coming up against the same types of people, then obviously change your filters, try different types of people. Know that the friendship doesn't really mean friendship on there. It usually just means that they're using that as a way to talk to you, first of all. But also, you could get someone who definitely just does want friendship with you on there, and you're heartbroken because really you thought it might lead to more. So there's always that as well. I think with asexual, you should definitely put it in your profile. And if you don't put it in your profile, you should be telling them up front, right? It's not fair for a sexual guy or any gender to make out they're asexual when they're not. It's not fair of any sexual guy to lead an asexual on. It's not fair of any sexual guy replace guy with whatever gender you're attracted to. It's not right for any sexual guy to lead an asexual on to make them think they like them when they can't live without sex and they know you don't like sex, right? But it's equally unfair of an asexual person to not tell that sexual person they don't like sex if they don't like it, or they don't want to do certain sexual stuff. It's not fair as an asexual for you to do that to a sexual. A sexual and asexual both have needs, right? And unless you're honest and open from the beginning, you can't have a serious, committed, healthy relationship if you're not honest with each other. You need to get the hard stuff out the way up front, because if you don't, it just tarnishes things later on. You know, an asexual person will be in a relationship with a guy for like 3 months and go, "Oh, I don't know how to tell him that I'm asexual." You should have damn well told him at the beginning, girl. And if he can't frigging accept that or like that about you, or he's got different needs, he's got different needs. And now you've been together 3 months, attached to each other and hurting each other, right? Because you're probably going to have to split up. Otherwise, it's going to be a rocky road when one person's forcing themselves to do something they don't want to do, or the other person's pushing themselves to not do something they want to do, right? So you have to have all this up front. Obviously, if it comes down to it, months later, one of you changes your mind. Everyone has the right to change their mind, but it would be quite sad if you've been upfront about it. That wouldn't be very fair, but obviously everyone has a right to change their mind. But you need to be, from the very beginning, upfront and say, look, I'm asexual. And a lot of people don't know what asexual means. They think it means you're a sexual person. You're really sexual. That's what a lot of sexuals think it means. Oh, good. I want a sexual person. So I'll go in that asexual person because they're advertising they like sex because they're saying they're asexual. So they're basically saying they're really sexual. That's not what it is. But people who are sexual don't understand asexuality. So you have to spell it in your profile. I'm asexual. I don't like sex if you don't like sex. I'm not interested in having sex, right? And some sexuals will take that as you're not interested in hooking up. They won't understand that you don't like sex, full friggin' stop. So you have to say to them in the profile and spell it out when you're talking to them, I do not like sex. Like I put now, I do not like any type of sex, right? Because, you know, I might mention it 2 or 3 friggin' times so they can get it in their head. Because a lot of sexuals, they don't understand. Even the guy that I did speed date when I did speed dating with 2 guys, but one of them is like, in the private message, he was messaging me on meetup.com, but privately afterwards. He was a nice person, but he's like, how is that possible? When I said I'm asexual, I don't get the need, urge, or want for sex, partner's sexual intercourse. He's like, how is that even possible? I don't know how more to explain that I don't get the need, urge, or want for partner's sexual intercourse. That is how it is. Because he was saying, what's the reasons? I want to know I'm curious to know more. What's the reasons why you're asexual? Like, what's made you asexual? I'm like, and I just get fed up with these questions over and over again. Like, I was born asexual, but I didn't realize it. The thing that makes me different from the average person who's heterosexual is I do not get the need for sex. I do not get the urge for sex. I do not get the want for sex. I don't get the desire for sex. I don't have that innate need. I don't have any of those 4 things within my being. I'm not wired that way. I don't feel that way. I don't look at a guy and think, God, I want sex with him. I look at some guys and think, God, I want to snog your blimmin' face off now. But I don't ever think I want your genitalia now. I don't like genitalia. I'm really not interested in it. And I couldn't care less if what the guy, like, has below his waist in terms of, like, I don't want to play with that, right? I'm not really into that. I have been naked with guys in the past. I have had sexual relationships in the past. I've had sex in the past. But since I've discovered I'm asexual in 2014 and realized I was always asexual but didn't realize it before, then I can be my true self. And that doesn't usually involve genitalia. Obviously, if I love the person, if I love a guy, then the genitalia comes with the guy, then I kind of love him in whole. So his genitalia comes with that. But I'm not really going to go around going, I want to have sex with your genitalia because I don't want sex, right? And so nothing's caused me to be asexual. I've had good sex. I've had bad sex. I had sex after the bad sex, right? It didn't stop me having sex. But in 2011 was the last time I had sex. I've been sex-free since we're in 2023 now. So I've been sex-free for friggin' ages now. Like, what is 11 from 23? It's 22. 22? Is it? No, 11 from, I can't even count. It's 11 from 23 is, I don't know, work out, because it was November, wasn't it? It's over 11 years anyway. 12 years, isn't it? 12 years this year, I think, in November, since I've definitely not had sex. The last time I had it was October 2011. So my maths is rubbish, as you can tell. We're 2023. Oh my God. But yes, anyway, I haven't had sex since 2011, October 2011, sometime, but I'm not interested in it. I'm just so happy to be sex-free. I don't like that. I don't want it. I don't need it. I'm not interested in having a family. So one of the guys on the speed dating on the community section, when we're all together talking, I actually started explaining asexuality to him. And I started saying to him about the fact, because this woman saw me on Zoom, and my Zoom account name is Sandra Bellamy / the asexual entrepreneur, and she's like, what type of entrepreneur are you? So I told her about asexuality and I explained it to everyone in the group on Zoom. And then this guy is going, well, what about a family? If you want a family? I said, I don't want a family. Just because I'm female doesn't mean to say I want children, and I don't want them. I said, I'm a career girl. I'm not interested in having kids. And then he was going to ask more questions, but the organizer stopped us from talking about the asexuality topic, which people weren't actually interested in. But of course, people don't get it. Like, guys who are older, especially, he was an older guy talking about, like, saying, what about a family? They don't understand it, and even when I mentioned it, like, people in the Zoom organizer were going, oh, well, we can have a meeting on friendship. It's like, you have to understand that friendship is not the same as a relationship. Like, asexuals can have a friendship and they can still have a relationship without sex, right? Just because you're not having sex does not mean to say it's not a real relationship. It's not a relationship, it's just a friendship, right? I have different boundaries, right? I won't kiss my friends. Why would I kiss my friends? I will only kiss a guy I'm interested in dating or be in a relationship with, that I'm attracted to romantically. I'm not going to go around kissing my friends. It's not the thing I do, right? To me, that's something you do in a romantic relationship, or maybe you do it in a club if you're attracted to someone and you wouldn't mind dating them or being in a relationship with them, But I wouldn't, like, go around doing that to my friends, right? I don't go around holding my friends' hands. Some people do, but that's not how I work. When I've gone to Bollywood events, I've actually had guys, like, put my hand in girls' hands, which is very bizarre to me. It's strange. I'm not used to doing that. I'm not interested in women. If that's part of their culture, then I will play along with that, but it's really not what I'm that comfortable with. and it's not something I always usually do. But I have respect for Indian women. I like being there, and they're nice people. I just try not to take it any personally about and not think about it romantically or anything. But usually I don't go around doing stuff like that, right? I I'll do stuff like I did have to hold the guy's hand last time to do dancing. I personally think dancing is very intimate. I was really worried about doing the salsa dancing because I'm not used to. I don't want people touching me. Like certain people, I'm fine, but other people, I'm not. It's like I didn't want older guys touching me because I'm not interested. Like even holding an older guy's hand, it's just like not good for me because I'm not attracted to older guys. And for me, I need to be find something attractive, like about their face, and be comfortable about it to be with a younger guy, basically, even just dancing, because that's just the way I am. And so, I have very different boundaries. If I want a friendship, I'm not thinking I want to snog the guy. You know what I mean? Well, maybe I do have attraction for my friends, some of them, unfortunately. But I don't actually want to go around doing that because it's not something I'm going to be doing with a friend because they're just my friend and I'm like feeling like I shouldn't be thinking that about them, but I'm not actually thinking usually about kissing them. I'm usually thinking they look nice, they're attractive or something, or I'm romantically attracted, or maybe intelligently attracted or something. But my point is that, you have to understand that on Facebook dating, when a sexual guy or sexual person says about like just being someone's friend, usually it just means they're starting off as friendship, but really they want more. They want to date or they want a relationship with you. But if you've said that you're asexual, they might automatically put friendship first because they might know that you said you don't like sex in your profile. And so they think it's an easier way to get into talking to you because you're more likely to accept the friendship request than you are someone just hearting you, wanting to date or relationship with you, might scare you off. So they could be using it as a way to get into conversation with you, but really want dating or relationship with you. So you have to understand that Facebook dating is Facebook dating, like it says on the tin. So if you don't want to date, I wouldn't recommend going on Facebook dating. There's no point. Because you can just go in community groups and make friends there. You can go on meetup.com and make friends there. You can, do different things to get friends, right? There's specific friendship groups. But if you're going on a dating app and it says friendship as that component, you've got to understand that predominantly people are looking to date. And just because they're looking to date doesn't mean to say they're looking for a serious relationship. So you have to read in the small print, like, what are they looking for? Do they say casual relationship, dating, dating, friendship, long-term relationship? Like, what are they looking for? And if they're looking for something casual, it usually means they just want casual sex. That's what it usually means. It doesn't mean to say they want something casual, as in non-committal but sex-free. It usually means they are literally looking for sex, casual sex with no commitment, no attachment, and that's it. Right? So you don't really want to be going for something like that unless you really are an avoidant person who doesn't like being in a relationship and you just want something sexual, and that's it. So the only person, like people who are asexual, that might benefit from that are phrasexuals. So a phrasexual person is someone who can only experience sexual attraction initially to someone, and then when a deep emotional bond has been formed, they actually don't experience the sexual attraction anymore. So they're opposite to a demisexual. So a demisexual person is someone who can only experience sexual attraction when a deep emotional bond has been formed. And if you're demisexual, you'll probably need to put that in your Facebook profile and say, look, I can't experience sexual attraction unless I've got an emotional connection with someone. Because if you want people who, if people are wanting to hook up with you, that's not going to work because you're not going to develop that emotional connection, right? But phrasexual is the opposite. They have experienced sexual attraction, but then it wears off if an emotional connection is made. So they really need casual relationships. They need to just be able to hook up with someone, have casual sex, really not develop some sort of relationship with them usually. And then that's how they get their sexual fix with relationships if they don't actually want a relationship. Right? So phrasexuals might work well on Facebook dating from a hookup point of view. But predominantly most asexuals are not going to be looking for hookups. They're going to be looking for something more serious. They're going to be looking for people that are more serious. They're going to be, looking for someone who's actually interested in their personality and their hobbies and interests and seeing what things they got in common. That's why I do like it when you can put your hobbies and interests in with Facebook. That's very important, so that you can see what things you do have in common and what you don't. And like I said earlier, Facebook do usually say you've got X amount of things in common, or this one thing in common. You can usually see what it is. So I think that's a really good feature. So I would say, if you're going to try Facebook dating, proceed with caution. Listen to this video again to take all the information in I've said about the pros and the cons. Remember, most people are sexual on there. The majority of people are going to want sex on there, and they might not take you seriously about your asexuality. They might not understand what it means. You might have to be very blunt and open with them. And I should always tell them up front you're asexual and you don't want sex if you don't, because then people can not waste their time with you and you can stop wasting your time with them. Because don't forget, time is precious both ways. You don't want to be an asexual person that's talking to someone sexual for 3 months or even 2 weeks or even 50 hours on there, and they want something that you don't want. What's the point? You're just wasting each other's time. And time is the most precious gift you can give yourself to, you can give to yourself in life or give to someone else. So always put your needs first in what you're looking for. And if those don't match up with another person's needs, then you just have to say goodbye. And on Facebook dating, it's common practice to delete someone, to block someone, to move on for someone. You're doing dating. Think of Facebook dating as a bit like speed dating, but not so much. So, but it's in and out with some people very quickly. Others people you'll keep in your message inbox. You'll be messaging them, find out more about them, find out what they like, dislike, building up more of a connection or friendship with them. And some people will just stop talking to you. Do not take this as a personal insult, because it's just the way Facebook dating is. There's a lot of people on there that aren't serious. They want a relationship. They don't even know what that entails. It's just like the idea of a relationship, not actually thinking it through. Like, okay, how would I make this work? How would I meet up with this person if we don't live in the same city? How would I travel to see them? What would a relationship actually look like? Would I see them on weekends? Would I see them on evenings? How is their schedule? How is my schedule? Like, what stuff do we have in common? Like, where's our relationship goals for the future? Would one person move to the other person? Like, what would we plan together for our vision? You need someone who's actually, if they're looking for a serious committed relationship, thought that through, not just think, oh, I like the idea of a serious committed relationship. Yeah, because I like commitment. But that's all they've thought about it. They haven't even thought about anything else. The good thing that I did like about the British guy that had messaged me earlier, which I've got to reply to him later, but I'm literally got so much to do even after this first. The good thing I liked about him is he was already saying ways that he could come and see me, and that the traveling would be no problem for him. He could go on the train and things like that. So he'd already thought some of this stuff through before actually talking to me, which I'm thinking, oh, right, this is a good person. They've actually bothered to think some things through, because I get some guys on Facebook dating, and instead of them being just honest, like, I can't travel that far, and it's like they've already liked me. It's like, why bother liking me and then just tell me you can't travel that far? I think some people think I've got a car, but I don't drive. So I'm not about to go trundling up driving to someone who I don't even know, and I don't drive, So yeah, it's not going to happen because I don't drive a car, right? So you've got to take all these things into consideration. Like, is the person really serious? Is their conversation really serious? Or are they just very nonchalant, not really into you, not really knowing what to talk to you about, haven't really thought things through, and they're just wasting your time? So always take each person on their own merits. Listen to what they say, listen to what they don't say. If you pick up any narcissistic traits, so like devaluing you, putting you down, unempathetic, blurring your reality, making you feel small, making you feel insignificant, not taking you seriously, any of these sort of narcissistic bad traits, just don't bother with these people, or at least clock the frigging things as red flags. 3 red flags and that person's out, right? 3 red flags, out. But if they show a really bad red flag, like if they're getting abusive, they're swearing, you just block the damn asses, right? You don't bother with these people, right? You have to understand there's some people on Facebook dating that are not high quality people, and just block them, delete them. Don't think, oh, I can't block and delete anyone because what does that say about me? It says you've got boundaries, you've got standards, and you're protecting yourself. That's what it damn well says. So you go and do that. Stop going, oh, but I'm so mean. You're not frigging mean. You're protecting yourself, right? It's not mean to understand that someone's bad for you. You have to protect yourself. Why would you allow someone to be abusive to you and continue the conversation with them? What's the point? You're not doing yourself any favors. You're just enabling that behavior to continue with you, right? So just forget about them, block them, delete them, get rid of them. They're no good for you. You want someone who's kind, caring, empathetic. No one's perfect, so I'm not saying they're going to be like this 100% of the time, but you want someone who genuinely shows compassion for you, who's caring towards you, who likes who's caring about the good stuff and the bad stuff, or the good times and the bad times, or the good things, not so good things about you, the weaknesses and the strengths. Obviously, you can't be with someone who's just like, this is the way I am and I'm never changing, right? Because, in a relationship, you have to grow and change and adapt to each other and help yourself and help the person, right? You can't make anyone change. You can only change for yourself. Even in a relationship, you have to just change for yourself if you need to change, right? But you don't want to be with someone who's exposed bad traits towards you, and they don't want to improve or change, or they say they will and they just don't do it, or they say they will and then they get worse again, right? You just don't want to be with someone like that. It's wasting your time. Yes, they might have been kind to you once or twice. Yes, they might have been nice to you, right? Some people are very nice in the beginning and then turn out to be horrible. You don't want to be with one of those people. You have to just let them go from your life. You can't keep having multiple bad people in your life. It's no good for you. It's no good for your health. You need to move on so that you can let good people in your life. So I understand on Facebook dating, you're going to get rejected. Understand that's part of the process. You have to understand if you're dating, rejection is part of the process. You reject them, they reject you. Sometimes this is what happens. Some people reject you, sometimes you reject them. If you want to use the word rejection. Or you could just use the word that you filtered that person out and they're not suitable for you. You don't have to use the word rejection. They filtered you out of their life. You're no good for them. You're not suitable for them. It doesn't mean to say you are a bad person just because you're not suitable for them. It doesn't mean to say they're a bad person just because they're not suitable for you. They don't have to be a bad person for them just not to be suitable for you. So in those cases, rather than just block someone like completely just there, just say, look, thanks for the chat, but I realise we're not suitable because we're both looking for different things, but I wish you good luck and I'm going to go now, or delete you now, or block you now, or whatever you need to do, just to end it politely if you want to, rather than just cutting off from them, right? So you can do that because, if you've been talking a while, or you might decide you want to be friends, but don't forget, if one's got feelings or the other person's got feelings, it can't ever be just a friendship totally, because you've got feelings for the other person. And that's going to cloud your judgment. It's also going to make you think, is it possible to have a relationship with them in the future? Is there always going to be a what if scenario going on there? I mean, the amount of what if scenarios going on in life between multiple friends and multiple people in the world is just astronomical, right? Because this is what attraction does. Like, you might be attracted to their personality a lot. You might be attracted to their looks a lot. You might be romantically attracted to someone. And there's always this thing of like, what if this person changes? What if the person does this? What if the person becomes that? But you have to remember to always value the person and who they are now and how they are treating you now. And also pay attention to how you are treating them, how you're feeling about them, how you're caring about them, and how they're doing that to you. If you're the one who's giving and loving and caring to them and you're making them feel good, but they're not doing the same back to you, huge red flag. You have to look after yourself as well. You have to know that you deserve love as well. You deserve care as well. You deserve attention as well. You deserve that person saying, hey, how was your day? Like, tell me about your day. Tell me how you are. Tell me how your health is. Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me how I can help you today. Tell me about your day. Tell me about, like, just how you are in general, right? I had a guy who was nice, and then when I got poorly, Mr. Sensitive had gone. I'm like, what's gone on? Because I do have a disability, which I'm open about on this channel. And I did get really ill, and when I get ill, sometimes I can be ill for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I need a guy who's sensitive, kind and caring about the fact I have a disability. I manage it really well. I mean, fibromyalgia, I've got generalized anxiety disorder as well, but fibromyalgia is a really, really bad condition. It affects the nerves and muscles of the body. It's really painful, and it's not easy to live with that. And a lot of people are bedridden, and some are on crutches or in a wheelchair, right? Doesn't mean to say they're unlovable and they're not good people. I mean, I admire people that have disabilities but are still fighting in life. Someone who's got a disability but they're doing the best they can in life, I admire those people. I was still doing educational courses throughout the time being ill, pretty much nearly every day, or I think it was every day I was doing something. I was learning, but I was poorly and I was still learning stuff. To me, I think it's very important to self-reflect about yourself and to make sure you're praising yourself. To me, I'm thinking, my God, Sandra, you're really not well. You're not feeling good, but yet you're still educating yourself. You're still watching training videos. That girl is frigging amazing. That's what I think about myself. And if a guy doesn't equally think that about me, if a guy just doesn't even see the benefits of me and what I'm doing for myself, I don't have to do anything when I'm sick. A lot of the time, a doctor will be like, just rest, chill out. And I could have done that. And that might have been really good to do that. But I just can't. I can't just be doing that a lot of the time, because I have to be doing something to educate, learn, and grow and fulfill my dreams. So I was on this channel still a lot of the time, even though I was sick. And so for me, I look up to me. I see myself as a, well, from my book, I presume from this book, I'm Ace Fibro Girl. See that picture on there? That's my superhero outfit, This is a book I wrote to help other people to have more energy, less pain, and be happier with fibro. And just in life in general, if you've got depression and anxiety, it's a really good book to have, even if you don't have fibro. It's autobiographical. But, I personally admire myself. I admire the fact that, blimmin' hell, you're learning stuff while you're sick. That's amazing. Not many people do that, And so when I have someone like in my life that's like, just like, oh, you'll get over it, like just take Vicks or whatever. To me, that's very dismissive of my feelings. It's very uncaring, insensitive, and it's just like, yeah, cheers for that. Not, and then my best friends, like, I actually got a lot better, a lot quicker, because I decided I wasn't suitable with that person. Wished them well, not suitable. Um, but because I don't want to have a guy in my life that's saying stuff like that to me, which is, to me, is very dismissive and invalidating of my feelings. And if you have got disabilities, or even if you haven't, with your asexuality, you do not want to date someone who invalidates your feelings and is insensitive towards them and dismissive of them. This is not someone who's gonna be good for you personally, right? A person should be kind and caring at all times. Like my two best friends, they're amazing, right? They'll encourage me with my dreams and my productivity, and they'll be there for me when I'm sick and say, like, just just take some time out for you. Watch a few movies, just chill out. You've done so well with your, what you're learning. You really inspire me, because you're doing that even though you're sick. Like, I had such beautiful messages on Facebook. And I want to say a lot of love to Mon Anthony Era and his team of people. If you're watching now, any of you, I love you dearly. They came on Facebook. Mon is an amazing guy. He's a social media manager. I've been friends with him for years, from the Philippines. And he's got a huge marketing team work for him, right? And I haven't employed him to work for me, although I might very well do in the future. But his team just came on my Facebook, and they saw that I'd been working incredibly hard, even though sick, because on my Make Money Make Cash channel, all my stats are really up, like by hundreds of percent. And when I posted about that, and I'd still been learning, I've been doing courses, I've been doing some work on Asexual Guide to Sex Edit and that, and I'd just been doing like lots of like training stuff. They just came in, and loads of them flooded me with beautiful compliments about, you're such an inspiration, you're working even though you're sick, you're working towards your dream, and let's get Sandra some more followers. Let's support Sandra in her dreams, and you're amazing. And I just thought there's such a contrast between the guy who's just basically saying to me, oh, like, get over it. Like, just get over it. Oh, you'll be fine soon. You know what I mean? Very dismissive, very invalidating to these people on Facebook that were just, and obviously my best friends were amazing. They're like, oh, you're doing so well, and I hope you get well soon. And, I hope, they're asking me how I am now and feeling. I love that about them. And, all these people on Facebook dating just flooding in, having about 46 comments or something, the majority of them from his team. And they were just so amazing. And so one of them was like, oh, Sandra's great at talking about asexuality. She's like an expert in this. And she knows a lot about the topic, and, and they're just really kind. A lot of them, I think, are subscribed to this channel. Lots of love to you as well. And they're just incredible people, and they just gave me so many compliments and saw all the goodness in me. And it's like, oh, we're here for you, we're supporting you in dreams. And these people are strangers predominantly. Like, I know Mon, but I don't really know these people, but a lot of them are connected with me, friends on Facebook, but I don't personally know them. And you go from a guy who's like dismissive, like, oh, you'll get over it, like you'll be better soon, like all this type of attitude, which is not helpful. It's not sensitive. It's devaluing. Well, he can't devalue me in the sense of a valuable person, whatever he says, but like dismissive and all this type of thing, to going to complete strangers who have so much love and care and compassion and empathy and for me, and are inspired by me and see all the goodness in me, completely different contrasts of people. And these people, they just so, like enthusiastic and about me and the work I do for asexuals, and just like see me as an inspiration and see me going for my dreams, despite being sick, which I don't have to do. I could take some time out for me because that's still a really good thing to do. And so I did watch a few movies in some of that time as well, but it's just, see what I mean in contrast, like the guy who was messaging me and stuff, who's dismissive and validating my feelings, he was meant to actually care about me. In the end, I said, like, it seems you don't really care about me, so I need to find someone else for a friend or a romantic interest that's kind, caring, compassionate, and empathetic, basically. Compassionate, empathetic, yeah, kind and caring. I don't know if there's something else, one of those words. But basically, yes, compassionate, empathetic is really important, and caring about me. So, like, it was just amazing to have all those Facebook, because that's what you need to get well. You don't need someone going, oh, you'll just get better, get over it. That's not going to help you. It doesn't help me at all. It made me feel like worse about myself and worse about my situation. Right. But as soon as I stopped messaging that person and wished them well, and then like my best friends were like, oh, how are you feeling today? Like, and they especially messaged me extra more, to make sure I'm okay and how I'm getting on, and and all the the encouragement they give me, and all the flooding in of all the inspirational messages to me of how I inspire them. And it just felt so good. And that's actually what gets you back to being healthier quicker, is encouragement, is thoughtfulness, is caringness, is empowerment, is feeling your pain yet celebrating your joy at the same time, celebrating your wins in those dire moments. Like, people do get sick, people do have disabilities, right? If you can't have someone who can treat you well in the fact that you've got a disability or that you're sick, it's not a good person for you to be with. You can't be in a relationship or friendship with someone who's making you feel bad about being sick, and just like get over it. It's like, it's just not right. Right? We need compassion for each other. We need empathy. For me, this is all natural. Even a stranger I'm compassionate with and empathetic with. Why wouldn't I be? Because I care about people. I want people to be well. I want people to be happy. If someone's like my parents, I actually gave my illness to my parents and feel really bad about it. I can't change it. I've phoned them up a few times to see how they're doing, because I care about them, because I want to know that they're okay as they can be, and hopefully they're getting better. Right? Unfortunately, I did go over there when I was sick, and I was hoping that I wouldn't give it to them, but I did. My parents have been quite sick. They've been worse than I was, in terms of they can't, they've got breathing issues, had breathing issues going on. So that's not good. So my point is, when you're on Facebook dating, make sure you look for when they talk to you in messages about, like, are they showing you caringness? Are they showing you compassion? Are they showing you empathy? Are they showing you really good things about themselves? But don't forget, some of it can be all a show. They could be like that in the beginning, and they could change over time in the messages. And people who are narcissistic, for example, they do something that basically, they'll kind of love bomb you quite a lot in the beginning, bring you up, put you up like on a pedestal on purpose, to then bring you down and drop you like a sledgehammer. This is a narcissistic tactic. So they bring you up purposely, make you feel so good about yourself, they're really into you, and then they drop you the other way and make you feel really small and insignificant, and they dismiss you. they devalue your worth on purpose. So bring you up to put you down. It's a very manipulative, controlling, narcissistic, abusive thing they do, right? But you won't necessarily see it coming. You have to just forgive yourself for not seeing it in a person if that's how they turn out to be. But always be careful about someone who is excessively praising you in the beginning. If you get someone like, oh, I think you're amazing, I love you, blah, 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 and you don't know them at all, they've just started talking to you, how can someone know that you're an amazing person if you just start talking to them? They could know that in the sense that if you have already expressed something towards them that would make them feel good about themselves. But if you've just like, hi, it's the first thing. If someone says, you say hi to someone, it's like, I want to marry you. It's like, no. They just want a visa usually. You can't know you want to marry someone, you just meet them. That's called desperation of a visa. So you know, so obviously you don't want someone who like comes in there and starts putting you down either. But you know, like you have to spend time with the person to get to know them. You can obviously think someone's got good traits when they first talk to you. You can obviously think if they're a kind, caring person by what they say to you. But just like make sure you spend some time with them, like in messages with them, and video date them so you can get a really good picture about what they're truly like, because they will show their true colors in the end. Even if you've got someone who comes across as really nice in the beginning, they really care about you, they really like you, and they see the good qualities in you, and then all of a sudden they just go the opposite way and they don't really want to message you much anymore, they won't keep in contact with you much anymore, they're not really bothered about you much anymore. This is really horrible, but it does happen. And it's sad, the people who do this, very, very sad. And these people won't change because they don't think there's anything wrong with their behavior. They don't see that they're the issue or the problem. And so you just have to let them go from your life. So always remember to proceed with caution in any dating scenario. Understand there are a proportion of people that are unhealthy. So as far as I know, statistically, I think 50% of the world population is secure attachment style. So I talk about attachment styles in my Asexual Guide to Sex book that will be coming out some point. I'm still working on the editing of it. Slowly with the courses I'm doing. So, but I'm still working on it. It's in the final stages. So I've written the book, I'm just doing the editing. So attachment styles are how you attach to your caregiver, like your primary caregivers, like whether they're your parents or your grandparents or you're at an uncle looking after you or whatever, right? And how they treated you as a child is how you are attached to them and usually attached to people in your future relationships. So if for example, your parent was neglectful and didn't really match your emotional needs, they weren't there for you, and they just like kind of pushed you to the side because things were more important, and they kind of like abandoned you and stuff like that, you'll then go usually in the future and have abandonment issues, and you'll probably have an anxious attachment style. You know, if you were like smothered as a kid, you might have an avoidant attachment style later on. Or if you had aggression within the family, you might have an avoidant style, because if you went for comfort, instead your parents were aggressive towards you, then you want to avoid that in the future. So you want to avoid aggression because they've put in your head that you are actually not safe to be in a love relationship, and love is aggression, which isn't true, but obviously that's how it came across as a child. So there's lots of things that can happen in childhood, and about 50 statistically, when I was doing the Asexual Guide to Sex research on this last year, I think it's 50% are securely attached. So from birth, they're securely attached to their person, which means half of the population is insecure attachment style, which is where all the issues lie. I do have an insecure attachment myself, attachment style myself. I've got anxiety, actual condition, and anxious attachment style. So, you know, I'm better at managing that now. I'm better at dealing with the kind of like the symptoms of some of that. I'm better at that. There's like some stuff that's like kind of like more of a like you can't really help it in terms of anxious attachment, and there's some things that you want to avoid because you don't want to end up in toxic behaviors yourself. So the stuff to do with the toxic behavior side I've worked on so that I don't be that way. So for example, if a guy is not treating me well, rather than me getting into like a argument or battle with him, I'll just let him go from my life. I'll be okay. Then if you know, like I will give him a chance to put things right. But if he's not treating me well, I won't just sit there arguing or start being like shouting and stuff like that, or just like walk away. I've been like, I want people do argue in relationships, but I don't want to be doing any aggressive stuff or anything like that. I don't think two wrongs make a right, and I don't want to be with someone who just doesn't make me feel good about myself and who's just making me anxious on purpose as well, because that's not good. So I would just like leave that person's life and go from it, because at the end of the day, you can't be with someone who's not making you feel good about yourself, not helping you to be better with them, and not just not being good to you. And then avoidance is toxic behavior as well. You can't have a serious healthy relationship with someone who's avoiding in-depth discussions about the relationship, who's avoiding getting close to you, who doesn't want to talk to you about things and sort problems out. That's toxic behavior from an avoidant as well. So both are insecure attachment styles. So everyone comes with their own problems to relationships, to dating. When you've had attachment styles in your childhood, it's not your fault of that happening, but you need to recognize that and do some therapy work and counseling work to help yourself to become a better person, so that you reduce any problems of you being toxic and work on the actual issues that are making you have that attachment style. And you might never get rid of that attachment style, but you'll learn more healthier ways of coping and communicating with people, so that you lessen the chance of being toxic yourself or ending up with a toxic person. So it requires work on yourself. It requires you understanding yourself. It requires you to understand the other person. Relationships take work, and if someone's not prepared to work in a relationship, then it's not going to be any good for you. And so understand that when you come across a lot of people as well, I was quite shocked, but one of the dating coaches I watch, who's not an asexual coach, I'm an asexual coach, they are not, but he's actually saying that a lot of people on dating sites and dating apps are actually avoidant attachment style. And the reason for this is because they're looking for hookups. They're not looking to get into a serious relationship because they want to avoid intimacy, and they want to avoid getting into a serious relationship. Because with avoidance, they think it's better to be without someone, even though they might like the sex. They feel it's better to avoid communication in a relationship, avoid dealing with problems and issues, avoid having much intimacy with a person, emotional connection, because it's a fear, really. And to it's better to not have much communication, and because they're scared, and their default is to go and avoid things, is to go away from things, is to push things away, right? And so you've got to understand that people come from all these different types of angles when you're dating. And you've got to understand that, some people are just not healthy for you. And maybe you're not even healthy for them. So you've got to work on your shit. Like, they have to work on their shit. But it doesn't mean to say you can't date in that scenario, but you have to be self-aware. Like, the amount of people I come across that I just have no self-awareness whatsoever. I have a self-awareness to know I have an anxious attachment style, and to know that I've taken care of some of that stuff to do with it. But I've got an actual anxiety condition at the same time. So, so for example, with me, I do as an anxiously attached person, I need some reassurance sometimes. As an anxiously attached person, certain things, behaviors, or certain things a person might do in a relationship would just, like, for example, an avoidant. If I've got some problem or issue in the relationship, I would be the type of person that would need to actually say, I need to talk to you about it and sort it out now. So I would really need a guy who say, hey, I'm working at the moment, but I'm really keen to talk to you as well. Let's do this video. Because even if you're in a long distance relationship, for example, you need a lot of video chatting, not just video dating. You need ongoing video communication and stuff like that, because things can be misconstrued in messages. So you need a person who's willing to talk to you about issues and problems and have difficult discussions and stuff. But if you've got an avoidant who's trying to avoid that and you're anxious to sort the problem out as an anxiously attached person, I want to get the thing sorted out there and then. I don't want it to be festering for 3 hours, 3 weeks, 3 days, even. Like, obviously, some persons at work, I can't interrupt their work and say, hey, I want you to solve this now for me. Well, they're busy, like, doing their own things. So as an anxiously attached person, I have to realize, okay, there's a time and a place. You cannot interrupt the person's work. Right, but you need to have someone who's like saying, hey, I understand there's a problem you want to sort out. Let's make a time for this time later. Let's get it sorted out. Or as an actually attached person, I don't really like long distance relationship. Well, especially not in another country. If it's in this country and I have the opportunity to see the guy, then it's a lot better. But I need someone who's very good at communicating, who'll be like, yeah, let's do a video call at such and such a time so we can discuss this and sort this out, because it's really important we do, so that we can move on happily together. I need a guy that will listen to that as well as understand that I can't just interrupt his day and that he's got his own life as well, right? So, that's all about balance. But if you have an avoidant, it'll be like, well, no, I ain't got time to talk to you now. I don't know when we can talk. No, I got no. And they won't make an arrangement. They'll leave you festering. They'll leave you getting worried about it. They'll avoid talking about it even in message. Because, sometimes, you need to talk about some stuff in message. You can't video call. You might not be able to wait for hours. You might need to say something in message, depending on what it is. But if you can have it at a video call, it's better than just letting it build up, So it can be very difficult. I get actually relationship anxiety as well. That's a huge, big anxiety. It's a worse anxiety for me. So in some ways, I'm better off staying single. Because relationships can be very anxiety inducing for me. But if I want a relationship in the future, I've got to overcome that, I think with the right person, you can probably do it to as much as extent as you can, but you've got to realize that other people got their needs as well. But anxious and avoidant attachment style just don't work together usually. They're one of the worst combination you can get. Because you just don't understand each other. Like avoidant will feel smothered if the anxious person wants to talk to them a lot and keep in communication, and the anxious person will feel completely neglected and abandoned if the avoidant wants to avoid talking to them, avoid communicating with them, and they'll feel like they're just being dismissed and they don't really care about them. So, you know what I mean? These people are just not good for each other. So you need to just work out what the other person's attachment style is, and love languages as well. Like, how do they give and receive love? All these things play a part in dating and relationships. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you for now, because I think I've given you loads to go on. Just bear in mind that Facebook dating is a free app to use. It's only available on the phone. It's if you've got the heart symbol at the top of the menu, and you can delete your profile at any time or just take a break. But you can give it a try, see how you go. Get back to me in the comments below. Let me know what you've done with the app, if anything, what you thought was good about it, what you thought was bad about it. Remember, most people on there are looking for sex. So do bear that in mind if you're an asexual who's sex repulsed particularly. And, if someone says they can live without sex, just watch what they say and the future interactions with them to see if they're actually telling the truth on that or not. Because some people just tell a pack of lies to get you to where they want you to be. Other people genuinely think they can live without sex and can't. And some people, rare people, do actually believe it's okay to be without sex, even if they're not asexual, because maybe they're just not that bothered about it, right? But they're much more rarer. So anyway, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you want more videos about dating, relationships, friendships, communication, anything to do with dating and relationships. I strongly urge you to stick to this channel, give this channel a thumbs up, give this video a thumbs up, so we can spread awareness of asexuality. We can actually have more open and honest conversations about dating and relationships, what looks healthy, what's not healthy, so we can start fostering much more positive, healthy relationships. And we can become more self-aware. When we have more self-awareness of who we truly are and our behavior towards other people and our actions, we can truly make this world a much better place. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, please subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon so you never ever miss an episode. And in the meantime, if you haven't already got Asexual Perspectives book, go and grab a copy from Amazon, because you'll absolutely love it. This shows you what asexuality is rather than just explain it in textbook definitions. There's loads of interesting stories, and there's pretty much every question you'd have about asexuality answered in this book. Like, what's the difference between sexual attraction and sexual desire? What's the difference between arousal and sexual attraction? Like, what do asexuals really think about porn or BDSM or sex in general? What's the best advice that asexuals give to other asexuals? This is on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Waterstones or Blackwell's books. And then I mentioned Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, which is a great autobiographical book by me as Ace Fibro Girl. It's a lot of fun to read, and it can help you reduce pain in 25 aspects of your life, even if you don't have fibro. Get a copy of this on Amazon as well. So anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you for now. Mwah! Thank you so much for the thumbs up. Don't forget to thumbs up this video if you haven't already. Like I said, subscribe, hit the bell icon, leave your comments below or any questions you have, and I'll endeavour to answer them as soon as possible. You've been an absolute amazing audience in this video tonight, and whatever time it is in your country you're tuning in from, and I'll see you soon on the next video live stream. Thank you so much to Margaret, and also to Alap. Is that how you pronounce it? And also to Rob as well in chat. You've been absolutely amazing. I've just pulled my screen up because I was seeing who is in chat. Thank you for taking part in chat tonight. Love you all dearly. I'll see you soon on the next video live stream. Take care. Lots of blessings. Love you. Bye.